Waiting on perfection is stopping so much art, so many words that need to come forth from coming out. The Most High is calling so many people to speak, create, and we feel like, well, I don't have this, I ain't got the nice camera, I don't have the latest gadgets. He don't need all that. Use your jar of oil. That is what this message is about. I want to encourage you all to use your jar of oil. And look, I'm doing it too. I have been having so many topics on my heart, and I'm just like, well, maybe when my children are older, or maybe when this and maybe when that, and really just, I think it was just fear, not wanting to be judged because I want everything to look a certain way. We stopping all that, and we're just gonna do, and we're gonna be, and we're going to work with what we have. That's why I said our jar of oil, because all she had was empty glasses, right? He said, make it enough.
Make it enough.
All she had was some empty jars, and God made it enough. You got something. You got your phone. I don't know if you have a mic, but there's a mic built in the phone. So for me, I'll give you some examples. I want to learn how to sew. There's a sewing machine right there. There's a sewing machine right there. I got yarn all back there. I got a phone. Like, it is time to stop sitting on our gifts and talents. I think in this day and age of social media, it has warped our minds because we are always looking to the grand scheme of things, viral, and we equate thousands and millions to success. But like, if we actually take a step back, and let's say you only have 5 subscribers, but they're engaged, they comment on all your stuff, you always get 5 likes. Imagine you and those 5 people sitting in one room. Like, that would be a lot. That would be a lot of people. And you don't need thousands of followers to be effective. You don't need all that. I really was like sitting down with myself yesterday, and because I'm starting an endeavor and I'm being obedient in it. And as I'm doing it, like, sometimes should you be doing this? Like, it's coming up, and I feel like it's coming up because maybe there's only 1 or 2 people, or I'm the only one that's super engaged. But it's about planting seeds. It's about being consistent regardless. Like, we're not doing these things because people are going to accept us, because we're going to get money from it, because we're going to get thousands of followers and feed our egos and be all popular on the internet. Like, that's not what it's about. And sure, those things can come, and they're going to come. And everyone's going to have a different level of effectiveness to what they are called to do. But this is about being obedient to the Most High before anything. This is about being obedient to the gifts and the talents and the calling and the messages He's placed on your heart. Because I know when I post this message, it's going to inspire somebody else, and it's going to put a battery in their back, because my girl Keish, she started her 21-day challenge, and that put a battery in my back. So I'm like, yes, like, when people are obedient, it just gets everything going, and it encourages people. It pushes them to go and do what they were called to do. And I don't know, I'm just in a season right now where I just feel more authentic than ever, and I'm breaking away from the fears, the what is it called? Imposter syndrome. And sure, those things are gonna pop up, but when they pop up, I am casting them down. When it's like, should you be talking? Girl, don't nobody want to hear what you gotta say. People, like, whatever it is, I'm just like, you know what? And if they don't care, and they do unfollow me, and they do whatever they feel like they need to do, that's between them. Just really getting in a place of confidence and being okay with who I am, who God made me to be. I spent enough time, my head itch. I spent enough time trying to chase things that were outside of me. And I just was never happy. I was never happy. I've always been drawn to YouTube. and speaking and telling my story and encouraging people and wanting to bring women together. Like, that is something I've always been extremely passionate about. But I kept looking at what was popping. So I'm like, well, maybe if I tailor it this way or this way, not realizing that somebody needs my authentic expression. And feeling like, okay, well, if you don't get 100,000 views, then you put in all this work for what? And that has really been a major downfall in content creation, because people are withholding words and exhortation and all the things that is on people's hearts. We're holding it back because our minds are in this society of social media and going viral, and we feel like it doesn't matter, but like, we are laboring for the kingdom. And I just really want to put our focus back on that. I want to take it away from the going viral. I want to take it away from getting the paycheck. Of course, those things are nice. We want them, and that's okay. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But when we allow those things to be before God and before being obedient, that's when we get drained. That's when we don't show up. That's when we fall into comparison. That's when we stop. Like, a lot of people start off very good intentions, and all the other stuff like kind of clouds it. And because maybe they're not getting like instant gratification, they start questioning themselves. What I was telling myself the other day was like, imagine there was none of this social media and you were just a woman in your hometown, and you're like, okay, I want to learn how to bake. I want to learn how to sew, crochet, all the things that I'm doing. Now I'm feeling called to minister to women. And doing that, we wouldn't have these phones. It would just be the women that I'm around. And I think that we just need to use these platforms as a way to do that. Like, it's an extension, but really just being comfortable with who we're gonna reach. It doesn't matter. Like, just letting, like, getting that out of our minds, so that way the Most High can work through us fluently without us overthinking and kind of like messing up the message, because now our flesh is in the way, which is kind of happening to me right now. I'm like, am I explaining myself right? It's a learning curve. I have battled with social anxiety and getting in my head and letting people make me doubt myself. So sure, it's a learning curve, and I might mess up, and this might not make a lick of sense to anybody. It might not make sense when I listen back to it. I don't know. Maybe it does, and I'm just overthinking. But it's still gonna get posted, because that's the only way you grow. That's the only way you overcome. I will share another revelation. I was praying for God to deliver me from fear, and He said the only way to do it is to work through it. So when you up on the stage and you trembling, or you're like, I be shaking sometimes. I've gotten a lot better and more confident, but there's been times that I spoke and I start shaking and messing up, which made the anxiety worse. If you know, you know. I had to be comfortable with looking like a novice. We're gonna make mistakes. We're not gonna always do things right. And when you can get out of that space of being in fear of messing up and allowing people to see you mess up, then God can use you and you can be effective. And that's all I have to say. I pray you guys have a blessed day. Go make that art. Go write that book. Whatever it is that you got to do, just stop. You have stuff in your room right now that you can start with. And I promise you, when you start doing that, like, things just start flowing, and it just unlocks something in your mind, and you get more creative. And as you're obedient to that, and God blesses you with what you need to keep building on that. Like, we always want to have the most fabulous setup, and it's like, it's okay. Let people see the journey. Because one day it is going to be a point in time where people want to go look back, and they're going to be so inspired by your perseverance. So, love y'all.